What's up, YouTube? So, I want to talk about black men and black women and sort of like how they interact with each other, right? So, do you think that black men compete with black women? And I'll say some. All right, some. So, do you think that some black men compete with some black women? And I see sort of conversations sometimes that tend to imply that this is true. Like, for example, interracial dating. Sometimes there will be conversations about interracial dating where black men are saying something to the effect of, oh, nobody wants black women. Black women are the least desirable women. No one wants to date or marry a black woman, right? And, it does seem like there's sort of like a competition of like who can win, quote unquote, at interracial dating, right? Like, who can wash away their black jeans the fastest? Black men can. Black men win. All right. But yeah, that's something that I've noticed. All right. Another thing, parenting, right? Where it's like, oh, black men would be like, oh, black moms are, single mothers. They don't value family and that they don't raise kids right. Completely neglecting their role as fathers in the family and just in the black community in general, right? And just putting it all on the black mama, all on the black mama, right? You know, and of course that's not fair. So it's like you're competing and you're also rigging the competition too to make it so you automatically are winning too. And I don't know why black women don't seem to want to, clap back with absentee fatherhood. I don't know. Maybe it's absentee fatherhood is just so normalized in the community that people just think that that's the way that it is. That's how it's just supposed to be, you know? And that's sad. That's sad that if that's true, that's sad. You know? And then you'll have arguments about statistics, right? I mentioned the marriage statistic, right? Like how black women are like the least likely to get married, right? That'll be an argument that they'll throw out there, like, oh, no one wants black women, right? No one wants to marry a black woman, right? Black women's marriage rates are low. Black men have higher marriage rates, and like, yeah, but I don't think it's by much though. Um, and then it's like the out of wedlock birth rate, right? As if black men don't have anything to do with the out of wedlock birth rate. It's just black women, right? Again, put this whole competition thing and putting all the blame on the black woman, right? And, of course, they're doing this so that they don't have to be held responsible for when, BS goes down in the community and as well be responsible for the state of the community, especially the current state of the community. We'll just all, just blame it on black women, right? And then the health statistics too, like, obesity, like, oh, black women are so obese. That's the arguments that I hear some black men online throwing out there too. Black men have high obesity rates as well. Again, not as high as black women's obesity rates, of course, but it's higher. Higher than it probably should be. All right, and then the HIV whole situation. I'm like, well, black men and black women both have high HIV rates. So yeah, I don't know. It's like, are you really winning with that? And then, just other health statistics in general, like, heart disease or diabetes and uh, whatnot, right? So it all this really just gets me to thinking, like, where does this all come from? Where does this whole competition thing come from? And I just really just think it just came from slavery, honestly. Um, you know, we got to just take a trip back to the slave days. I know we don't like going back to those days. I understand. I get it. But sometimes we gotta, in order to make sense of what's going on now, sometimes we gotta go back and, figure out what exactly happened back then so that we can make sense of what's happening now. All right. So back then, black women and black men were in the field, right? Uh, Picking cotton, doing, manual labor in the field, right? So it did kind of like low key equalize black men and black women to an extent, putting them kind of like on the same, level, quote unquote, for a lack of a better word. Um, putting them in the same situation, right? Black men sort of took a hit at their masculinity, and then black females took a hit at their femininity because of this. And this has continued to present day in different forms, one way or another, outside the community, but also inside the community too. There is sort of like a low-key masculinization, or however you say it, making black women masculine, right? There's sort of that sort of a thing in the black community. It's low key, it's a bit covert, a bit clever and disguised, but nevertheless, it's happening. And I think, black men feel some type of way about their failings and as black men and just men in general, and also feelings of inadequacy, which leads him to lash out at the easiest person to lash out at, which tend to be black women. So he's lashing out at black women, you know, projecting and, wanting to take his anger out and just express his frustrations, right? And then, black women, they have to be, quote unquote, strong, independent, you know, um, ride or die chicks, right? Black women, the princess narrative, the princess stories, the Cinderella stories aren't really promoted to black women, you know. It's more so the ride or die chick stories, right? The struggle of stories. Goddamn struggle in it. Shit. Uh, and low key masculinizing black women, right? And then sometimes some black men feel emasculated by black women, and which further feeds into their own feelings of inadequacy and lack of manhood. So it's kind of like turns into like sort of a cycle. The black women thinking this is how they're supposed to be because this is how they're promoted or what's promoted to them and what's pushed on them. And also they have to survive too, since they can't really depend on black men or the black community to really have their back. It's not like we have a system in place to protect black women in the black community. Let's be real. We don't. It's like shit. There's nothing in place to protect black women. I think honestly, we probably have more in place to protect black men in the black community than black women. Like fuck the women and children. Save the black kings. And then of course some black women are becoming and feeling frustrated over the situation too. So it's just like the black women are frustrated, the black men are frustrated. It's just like a whole sort of like gender war going on for some reason. And I don't know why that is. Well, again, it came from slavery, right? But I'm like, can't we just find a way to drop it or move past it, get some type of healing or therapy or something? Shit. You know, I I don't know, but that's something to think about, though. You know, the competition that tends to go on between black men and black women. You know, and then some black women say, "Hey, why don't you compare yourself with other men instead of women, black women, right?" And then, for some reason or another, they find some excuse, some excuse not to compare themselves with other men, right? And, some black men say, I've heard some black men saying that, well, black women need to compare themselves with other black women or other women, other groups of women. Um, and, those things are valid. Those are valid things to, put out there because I think that those are, things to think about, you know, since really other men are the competition, not black women, you know. Same with black women. Other women are the competition, not black men, you know. Um, but yeah, it's a terrible situation, you know. So I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know how to really move forward from this or to move past this, but it has to be addressed. And I guess that's just the first step, and everything. We'll just have to cross those bridges when we get to them. But the first thing is just admitting and owning up to it, which I'm not holding my breath on because I don't think that's going to happen. But perhaps it will. But let me know what you think in the comments section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.